Hey, what you doing?
Oh, hey Chuck. Playing with my Falcon 9 rocket here. On the bottom, I'm gonna talk a little bit about these Merlin engines down here. Aren't they adorable? Yeah, these cute little engines. They're built in-house by SpaceX. And on a Falcon 9 rocket, they have 9 of these rockets down at the bottom, hence the name Falcon 9 rocket. And so there's 8 of them here at the bottom, and then 1 here in the middle that we call the center engine. And basically, whenever a Falcon 9 launches up into space, as soon as it gets to space and, delivers its payload, whether it's astronauts or satellites or whatever else it is, the booster itself actually comes back and lands on land.
So, what does this have to do with the Cosmosphere?
If you look over there.
Oh, hey, look at that. So what does all this have to do with the Cosmosphere?
Well,
oh, hey, look at that.
we have a Merlin engine. We would like to officially welcome it to the family here. So yeah, this is a Merlin 1D engine. The Merlin engine is kind of went through a lot of different design changes over the years. And so this is a flown Merlin 1D engine from SpaceX. This one in particular flew back in October 30th, 2017 on what was called the Korea Sat 5A mission. And what's cool about it is that it, on that rocket, was the center engine of that Falcon 9 mission. So what's really cool is that whenever the booster comes back to land, either on land or more impressively on a drone ship out in the ocean, it uses that center engine to land. So it uses the center engine along with, it has these handy dandy, what are called landing legs. There's 4 of them that come out, like so. And then it has these adorable little, what are called grid fins, but it uses that center engine to help softly land the booster so they can then go reuse it. So we now have a Merlin 1D engine. So
that's really cool. It was donated by SpaceX.
Yeah.
So thank you, SpaceX.
Yes, thank you, SpaceX.
We appreciate that.
Yes, very cool. It's our first artifact that we've ever gotten from SpaceX, a commercial crew company. Yeah. So let's talk just a little bit more about it, kind of dive into it a little bit. So the Merlin 1D engine is known as an open cycle engine. So if you look at it, for one, it kind of has this little section here that like kind of juts off the side there. Well, it's kind of what the whole thing there is called the turbo pump assembly, basically is what it's called. And so inside of there is a turbine that uses some of the propellant. So a Falcon 9 uses rocket propellant. It uses what's called RP1, which is like a rocket grade kerosene, and then it uses liquid oxygen as an oxidizer. And so basically it uses a little bit of that to spin the turbine really, really, really fast. And then that is then connected to some pumps that help pump the fuel, so the RP1 and the oxidizer, into the combustion chamber inside of there. So all of the fuel that gets used to help turn that turbine gets ejected out of this kind of exhaust right here. And so when you watch like a Merlin engine being tested, you can really see all that exhaust coming out of there. But on a Falcon 9, the way these are oriented on the rocket, these are like kind of inward and kind of towards the center. So you don't really see them as easy, and so you don't notice the exhaust that much.
So just to recap, this thing up here, the purpose of it is to shove fuel and oxygen into the combustion chamber over here.
Yes, and it gets really hot, like 6,000 degrees, I believe. And yeah, so it gets pretty toasty in there. But basically when those two things mix together, you get a big boom. So
you get a big what?
Boom. Basically that big boom happens in the combustion chamber, so that little kind of big section in there. And then all that hot gas gets forced down through into the nozzle. So this big thing that kind of widens out here. And thanks to Newton's third law of motion,
which is,
for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So as that exhaust goes down, the rocket goes up, which is where you want the rocket to go up to get into space. Also has to go sideways a little bit too. And what's cool, to get it to go sideways, these engines, again, there's 9 of them, they can use that to steer the rocket because they will kind of like pitch, be able to move around. They call it gimbling.
We have an example of gimbals on a rocket outside.
Yes.
So we can show that to them in a little bit too.
But yeah, and so they can use they use the engines to steer it because, you know, rockets don't have wheels or a steering wheel. Pretty cool. There's a really cool SpaceX mission coming up. You want to hear about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as of right now, on August 26th, so not too many days away, there is a mission that is going to happen called Polaris Dawn, where they are taking astronauts up into space. There's going to be 4 of them, and there's a couple really cool things about that mission. One, they are going to be going into like a high elliptical orbit around the Earth. So they're going to be going farther than any human has been away from the Earth since the Apollo program. So if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be like 800 and some miles away from the Earth, which is amazing. I can't wait to see the pictures of the Earth from that. And then, something else that's really cool, they're going to hopefully be performing the very first commercial spacewalk. So they're going to be going outside of the spacecraft, which is going to be so cool.
The area that we're in right now, this is our rocket gallery. So back here we have an engine that used to be in a Redstone. Over there is an engine that used to be in an Atlas. And then we have the Merlin engine back here as well. So we're going to use all of these to teach the public how rockets work, and there are going to be some interactive exhibits throughout the room as well. You'll notice that we're still working on a lot of our displays. There's not a lot of displays on the walls, but we got these handy info cards.
People can come check it out and give it a big hug. Although it's
don't give it a big hug. It's glass. You'll get smudges on it.
Yeah. You can give it an air hug.
Air hug.
Air
yeah.
hug.
Air hug.
Air